Welcome, coffee hour enthusiasts. Has everybody got their coffee? Finished their breakfast? I finished mine. Lisa's working on hers. Glad to have you guys. Um, yeah. So what's good in the world? We were talking about, triplets because it's always a fun topic. By the way, they're all, well, the girls are both crawling. So that's just like another level of expertise that I haven't mastered yet, which is corralling three babies.
Yeah. Wait till they start opening cabinets.
I know. That's so I'm going to Vegas this weekend. Hooray. Gonna watch AC/DC play at the Raiders Stadium with my dad. It's his favorite band. And I'm wondering when the heck am I gonna baby proof the rest of this house? Because I've started the process, but it needs to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Because
it does.
So
yeah,
what you're
she's
saying,
already starting to climb up stuff. Like she
Oh,
can
wow.
crawl and she can get up next to it and she can like start to climb up. So she's moving fast.
they're becoming terrorists.
Yes, yes. At home, domestic terrorists blowing everything up.
Isn't it fun? I didn't know all the neurodevelopment stuff that happened. Like, I didn't know the progressions and all that when I was raising kids, but now I see it in my
Yeah.
grandchildren, and it's so fun to know that stuff and then watch your kids follow the progression. It's so interesting.
Yeah. So, are you familiar with DNS?
No.
Dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. Monica, have you heard of this or done any coursework on it?
I have not done any coursework on it, but a little, I'm familiar a little bit. Yeah.
It is on
Yeah.
the way you wanted it to.
It's really cool. It was really popular in my circles down here for a couple years. Um, some of my colleagues and friends were big into it, and so I dove into it, and I love it. It's really cool. It came out of the Prague School of Rehabilitation, the same place that Vladimir Yanda and Voigt and some other like big names in corrective exercise, posture rehabilitation science, um, where they started to blend in actual neurology, and it's all based on kinesiological and neurological development of an infant through their major milestones. The bulk of it is in the first 13 months of life. So every milestone that they are supposed to hit, DNS uses that to inform their rehab and training. Um, so I'm actually teaching this to our long COVID group in Next Level Neuro. We're going to go through a whole DNS course together because they were super into it. So here we go.
What's it stand for? Dynamic neuromuscular what? System?
Stabilization.
Stabilization.
Yeah. And it's like, if a kid misses a developmental milestone, they miss out on a lot of, integration of primitive reflexes, sure, but more importantly, central pattern generator, development, spinal cord reflexes, the cross-body patterning, these type of things that lead to dysfunctions in the way that they walk, in the way that they move around the world, and brain dysfunctions as well. Like you can develop or lack of development of like certain like cerebellar type pathways can then lead to ongoing sensory mismatch and scoliosis, as one example.
Wow.
So DNS is not connecting all those dots like I'm connecting those dots through my neurotraining with DNS and everything else. But it seems pretty clear to me, right? And these milestones, what's really great about it is they have really specific and good exercises that you could do to correct the dysfunctions that happen from skipping over, missing, or just not fully integrating those milestones. Like rolling.
So rowing,
Rolling.
rolling.
Ask someone to lie on the ground and roll over. You'd be surprised how many people cannot do it correctly. All sorts of compensations and crawling. How many adults do you know how to crawl?
The
Or
crawling is what gets me the most when I am working with babies in the clinic. And now, like in Canada, the Canadian Pediatric Society, like it's not required that they achieve cross crawling. They just care that
I
the
read
baby has,
that the other day.
yeah, and it blows my mind.
It's insane.
Yes, they just care that the baby has figured out how to move from A to B. And that's fine. They're fine if it's just bum scooching, if it's just like army crawl and pulling the body along. Like they don't care. They're like, great, check.
And
And it just
that might
it
be one of
blows
the
my
most,
brain.
yeah, maybe one of the most important
Yes,
developmental milestones is learning to
yes,
crawl properly.
yeah.
That's insane. I read that. I believe that's happening in the US now too. I think the CDC or the
Okay.
American Pediatric Association had the same thing happen. They came to that same conclusion that they don't care
Yeah,
about crawling and it's no big
yeah,
deal. It's like that, yeah, that blows my mind. It's just
yeah.
it blows my mind that such a high organization that is so concerned with pediatric like health and development and stuff is just unaware? Are they just totally unaware of that, or is there something else?
It's
Yeah,
intentional.
I hear you, Joe.
It's intentional.
it's got to be something. You can't just
So
be unaware of that. Like,
question for you on this topic, Brandon. Like
yeah,
for basketball, right? Like, did you play basketball growing up?
yep.
Okay. So cross patterning, but yet when you shoot a layup, it's like the off the opposite foot, same knee, same hand, instead of like the cross version of it being. I mean, it's
Well, it is like you jump off of that, but you follow
like
through with
it's
the other leg. Like you lay up here, but you're still rotating, and my opposite side is still coming through. So it ends up matching. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like I may jump off the left leg to do a right hand layup, but as I follow through, I'm gonna finish that gait pattern as that comes down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right. I never quite understood if that was completely like a little bit off or if that was natural.
No, I mean it is somewhat natural. Like you just kind of let the body, what's the best way to describe it? Like unwind itself. The reason you jump off that leg is so you can also use your body to block a defender, right? So there is a little bit of sport specificity to it, um, but yeah, your body's gonna kind of unwind if there is any um, altered pattern, and it's gonna finish the gait pattern as you finish the jump. That makes sense? Kinda.
I think with fencing though too, they're like leading with both. Like if they're holding the whatever you call it in the right hand, they're also leading right-legged.
Yeah, and that's a reach thing, right? Because you can't reach as far across your body.
Used to watch normal.
Yeah, it's not exactly natural movement, but it's advantageous for the sport. It's a reach thing, and you're still pushing off with the opposite leg, right? So you get that sling system at work. Well, I guess it'd be more of the back sling system. So it still makes sense biomechanically, but it is a weird position, but more advantageous for the reach. think Monica's frozen. Am I frozen?
You guys were, but now you're unfrozen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I mean, it happens quite often in sports where we go against our developmental programming for an advantage in the sport. Super common. I'm thinking of one example is like the optokinetic reflex. For anybody not familiar with that, it's like there's a reflex with your eyes where it facilitates muscle activation. Basically just flexion and extension. So like if your eyes snap up, it's going to facilitate the muscles of extension. And if your eyes snap down, it facilitates flexion. Super cool little party trick. If you want to increase somebody's strength, just snap their eyes in different directions or increase their range of motion. But sometimes they get broken, and that can cause all sorts of problems in their, day-to-day activities. But it might be advantageous for their sport, and they may have done it on purpose. And one example of this is a high-level cyclist, right, who's always flexed over the bike and going to town, lots of flexion, but their eyes aren't up, which would facilitate extension neurodevelopmentally, right? That's the proper way that reflex works. But over time, their body has switched that reflex because after a long time, your brain is like, well, you seem to like this position and your eyes are always up. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch this reflex for you. So when I'm up, it actually facilitates more flexion. And that can be advantageous on the bike, right? Yeah, I would love to get 15% more power with my eyes going up in flexion. But when they walk around the world, that's going to create threat. High-level athletes not going to care. They're going to be like, I can deal with a little bit of threat. I probably won't even notice it because I'm in such good condition and my threat is lowered and everything else. My bucket is not super full. But for the everyday person whose bucket is pretty full already, and this reflex is broken, so like every time they're looking up and they're all over the place, that's trouble. So we want to fix that. But anyway, that's just one example of where our sport or our athletic pursuit may go against our optimal or even just regular neurodevelopment. And when that's the case, you gotta, you just make choices. Like I made a choice to go smash my head and get into multiple car accidents every day for 15 years. That was my choice. And now I get to fix it. So here we are.
So question for you, Brandon.
Uh-huh.
Would you still make that choice?
Yes. Yeah, I've thought about it a lot, and especially now with a son. I would make a more informed choice for sure, and I would have done things differently. I would have played the game differently a little bit to protect my head more. But the sport gave me so much that I would make that decision 10 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. The other time I would have played baseball.
Good choice.
Yeah, I love baseball, and I was, if you ask anybody from my hometown, I was a better baseball player than a football player. But the opportunity to play baseball in my hometown in Montana was not as big of an opportunity, in high school specifically. So I made a choice to play football. It's not like, man, when I moved to Arizona, I'm like, you guys play baseball all year round. It's awesome. Like, and there's just so much more competition and opportunity here that I probably would have stuck with it if I lived here. But football also in Montana is big. It's big business. Like they love their football up there. And I love the game too. Like it's the reason I'm here right now with you guys. Because without it, I probably would have never had the impetus to actually go fix my body and try to find out how to heal my brain after I'd broken it. So that's what led me to figure out what flow states were and really why neuro became such a huge passion of mine, because it's the thing that helped me heal. Not just my chronic pain, but my brain, which is functioning better than it has been in probably a decade and just keeps getting better. So yeah, I'm grateful for my time there. But my son will make that decision with all of the knowledge I can force into his little brain about the dangers of it. It's tricky because I don't want to scare him,
Definitely.
but I want him to be aware. And it's not just football either. Like,
Oh no, not at all. Hockey's
yeah, hockey's big. I mean, and even like men's soccer, people are getting concussed all the time from headers and from, the ground. The ground causes more concussions than any hit in any sport.
And
So,
basketball is a sneaky sport for
yeah,
concussions with the
it is.
elbows. Yeah.
The elbows, yeah. The elbows and the floor. You don't hit as much on the floor in basketball, but those elbows get thrown around. I got a concussion in basketball from an elbow.
Mm-hmm.
I shot free throws with blood going down my face and totally blacked out. I don't remember any of it. But guess what? I made both free throws.
I was gonna ask.
That is unconscious motor programming at work, everybody. But yeah, that was not good. I still have a scar from it. So yeah, it happens everywhere. Like life is a contact sport. I think probably 1/3 of my head injuries came from heavy metal music. I was a head-banging son of a gun. And also, I would get drunk and try to put my head through doors in college. That was not helping my cause at all. Stupid stuff. A lot of stupid stuff with my brain when I was a kid. But again, it's like you go through all those things I think everything happens for a reason, and it was all to lead me here. So I'm grateful. And thanks, Lisa. I'm just seeing your chats. And that's a good conversation too to have around like at what age, if my son does want to play football, tackle football, what age would I feel is appropriate for him? Because we know the brain is, going through huge developmental changes in these critical periods up until 7 years old, right? Those are super critical. But then up until like 25, we have more critical periods. And the frontal lobe is doing a lot of its development in those adolescent and teen years. Those are so important. Like if I could, I will delay it as long as possible. Flag football until minimum high school. But I would prefer him to hold off with tackle until, man, if I could wait till college, that'd be great. I don't think that's possible. You'd never get into college to play unless you play tackle football in high school. But I think that will probably be kind of the guideline that I use. No tackle until high school.
And it's difficult because developmentally, well, like what grade is high school there? Grade 9 or grade 10?
Grade 9, yeah. So 14,
Like,
15 years old.
right. And developmentally, like my son's now 20, but if he was thrown on the football field playing contact football in grade 9 or 10, he would have been I mean, there were other reasons why he didn't play, but like he wouldn't have stood up very well.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe he wouldn't, you're not drawn to that sport either.
Sure.
Maybe if you're not, yeah,
Well,
sized.
it was
Monica,
interesting because my son played flag football through 8th grade because it was flag football. And then in high school, you went to tackle football. And so many kids were getting concussions in flag football that people were saying they wish they were padded up and had helmets on playing tackle. That's why I asked that question, because they were feeling like maybe they're actually more protected with the pads and the helmets versus nothing and flags, because kids were getting concussions with that. So anyway,
Yeah.
just like very interesting topic. I
Well,
don't know if there's a right answer.
here's what I know so far and what I've seen too, is that the prevalence of concussion and now CTE, which I have problems with the way that CTE, and if you guys don't know what CTE is, it's chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It's the neurodegenerative disease that comes from multiple subconcussive hits to the head. It's like it presents kind of like Alzheimer's, and people with CTE usually end up getting some form of dementia. It's like the fast pass to dementia. It's not good. Like and it's the reason for a lot of the suicides that you're seeing in retired professional athletes and um, wild stuff. Not great. You can only diagnose it posthumously right now, so after someone has died. And the issue that I have with it right now is that we don't have a really fair look at how much is actually out there, because the people donating their brains to these brain banks are pretty convinced that they had CTE, and that's why they're donating their brains. So we're not getting like a true and accurate depiction of how prevalent it really is. And now they're trying to develop all these pharmaceuticals for CTE and for concussion, which I'm not against, but it's like they're just, it's just the Western medical system again, like trying to create something and then so that they can prescribe drugs for it. That's my cynical view of it. Okay, and I was convinced that I had CTE, by the way, which is what started me really on the journey to healing my brain. But anyway, that aside, what we know is that in rugby, there are much less prevalence of concussion and CTE. Like not even close. And rugby is a pretty violent sport, but they wear no padding. And the opinion, and I think a lot of people share this opinion with me, is that the protective equipment acts as a little bit of like armor that allows people to play much more violently. When I put on a helmet, nobody could touch me. I used that helmet as a weapon. Like when I was a kid, I was just headbutting everybody. And I would get a little dazed, but that kid was on the ground and I was running for a touchdown. So I win. See what I mean? Like especially for like a young man who doesn't have a developed frontal lobe and has a chip on his shoulder and anger issues. You kidding me? My entire purpose out there was to just crush and kill everyone I came in contact with. Like you literally have a like war mentality when you go out there because the violence is there, and at any point it could be you on the other end of it. So it creates a really intense mentality, and then if you have the armor, you can use that to your advantage. So I think like taking the helmet off specifically, you can maybe leave the other pads on, but by taking the helmet off, yes, you're at a higher risk, like when you hit the ground or if you do get hit in the head, but I'm gonna avoid getting hit in the head way more cognitively and intensely than I would if I had a helmet on. So I think there's something there. that's valid, but also it's like, yeah, but what about those accidents that happen when you do get smacked and then the ground comes and bam, you hit your head on the ground? That's not good. That's when a helmet is really helpful, right? So it's a tough scenario with that sport. Like hockey has it better figured out without the faceplate. I think that's a better idea. And I think maybe football maybe should go to that as a compromise. Take the face mask off. Leave the helmet on to absorb some blows. But if you take the face mask off, it's like we got to be more aware and avoid getting hit with the head, getting hit in the head. But it's tough. Like I don't have good answers there. It's going to be individual for everybody. Like you can't take away the sport. I mean, you can't do that. People make their own decisions. You have to leave it up to them. It's like the food conversation right now in America, too. We're talking about getting rid of all of these foods, and I totally agree with banning a lot of the ingredients that have no benefit and just cause problems, like these artificial dyes and stuff. There's no reason for those things. All they do is trick little kids into wanting that shiny food, right? You can probably agree on that. But I don't think you should take away their Captain Crunch. I love Captain Crunch. It's delicious. It is, Joe. Don't deny it. I also love Fruity Pebbles. They're amazing. And I should be able to go eat Fruity Pebbles whenever I want. This is America. Free country. But I should know whether or not I'm being poisoned when I do. Right? It's no different than alcohol. I should be able to drink alcohol or, frankly, do whatever drugs I want in the privacy of my own home that's not hurting anybody else.
Go Portugal.
It's a tricky conversation, but it's like where's the line? I don't know, with the sports, with and who's supposed to make these decisions? I mean, I think it should be up to the parents. Like, I don't really, I'm showing a little bit of my political ideas and
But the
thoughts here,
interest
but
the interesting aspect of that, Brandon, is it's the corporate world, right? Because there's all
right,
tax
I
codes,
agree.
there's all of these, there's like
But yeah,
four
it's all
companies that
enmeshed.
own all these other companies in each industry and then make these decisions about like what's best for their tax code pockets.
Right, which is why I believe it should be up to the parents, not corporations or the government.
But parents don't really get good choices from the corporations at that point
I
either.
know parents got to be informed. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's a big problem. Like it is.
And I feel
Um,
like it's hard to get informed because the information is just not really out there unless you try to find it. They bury it so deep.
yeah,
Even the
That's why
informed
we're all so
information is so
sick.
disinformation.
quite a racket. Yeah, it's true. That's all true. That's all true. But we can't, as parents and as health practitioners that are trying to do things the right way, we can't uh we can't rest on our laurels and we can't use that as an excuse. Like literally we are the ones like that are trying to make the change in the positive direction and like fighting against a lot of these institutional traditions that have been doing it like this and poisoning us forever. Like we are the ones that are leading this charge, right? So that, while valid, because it is hard to find good information out there, we cannot use that as an excuse to let the powers that be make decisions for us. And specifically, like the government putting in, um, starting to put in excessive regulations on things that are not necessary. I totally agree with banning poisonous crap from our food supply and getting fluoride out of the water, right? These things that science is now proving are just wreaking havoc on our systems. Totally agree with that. But I don't believe that an alternative without the poison should be taken. Like, I don't think we should get rid of McDonald's, even though their food is just poison and can sit on a shelf for 10 years and not degrade. I think we should still be able to make that choice, an informed choice.
But the tax codes of the products that go into making those products be those affordable choices is such not a fair playground.
Yeah,
That's where, like, again,
yeah,
like I
that's where
appreciate the
good changes can be made.
conversation.
That's
It's hard.
we'll leave it at this. We don't need to go into it anymore unless you guys want to. I don't care,
I
but
love it.
I know you do. But that's actually probably where we can make the biggest difference. Like RFK, what he's trying to do, I think if he could switch the incentives so that it makes it easier for low-income households specifically to get better food, that would make the biggest change in this country specifically. And hopefully that can like spread around to other. I mean, Europe's already doing a much better job than us. Canada does a much better job than America's doing right now. And but you're right. I think it always comes down to incentives and like single mother of 3 kids can't afford to buy all this nice healthy food usually because the subsidies are going to the hydrogenated oils and the corn industry and the fast foods and
Sugar.
cheap processed stuff. Yeah.
And that's true and deceptive at the same time, because like I showed, I don't know, at least a half a dozen families that had the WIC cards in Wisconsin. If you go to the co-op and you buy in the bulk section and then you create these meals for your family, like look how much longer this stuff lasts and it doesn't cost you in comparison to what like the box of cereal actually costs. And they were like, oh, I didn't even know I could use my WIC card at the co-op.
And that's
Right? Like it's like,
where that fundamental education stuff comes in.
and
Yeah.
that's just not the messaging that they get.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a wide-reaching problem with tentacles everywhere. It requires yeah, a lot of help is needed in a lot of different areas for this to change. But I think it's going in the right direction, so we'll just keep after it. I mean, we're all doing whatever we can, like, and especially everybody on this call. Like we are all, again, like I said, on that front line, trying to make a difference for people and to educate them and help them. So, that's all we can do. Just keep doing it. Keep screaming as loud as you can on social media, Joe. You need to scream louder. I haven't heard you in days. Oh, sorry, I'm just like reading the chat here.
It's all about creating that new system, Brandon. So you just say, hey, it's all contract law. Like at the end of the day, it's all contract law. So how do you start taking back control of your power because you start operating outside of the contract law that you were just born into believing is the way that it is? And then as soon as enough people start operating with new contracts and in different arrangements and forms, and they decide to use capitalism in a manner that's like for ethical, ecological, and empathetic purposes, then they get over the greed-based system of it's about the shareholders. Make sure
Right.
you take care of the shareholders. And then you get outside of the philosophy of let's get everyone all over the world to send their money to Wall Street, because Wall Street will make the answers okay when they print more money with their contract with the governments, and they all own one another inside of one another. But until the people decide that, like, I'm going to stop sending my money into the system that I'm bitching about, and they're going to keep spending the money that they're bitching about, then like you're kind of stuck in these systems. But there's all kinds of a bazillion systems that people can be like, you know what, today I can start being simple and consistent in this one different direction. And then it's a compound effect individually and teams and local communities, and lots of cool shit's gonna happen like that. We're
I
living
agree.
for it.
I think we're going in that direction. We're going to reach a tipping point sometime in my lifetime. I really believe that.
I agree.
That's-
I think so too. I think people are getting woken up and more aware where they
Yep.
weren't before. And I'm very happy, and hopefully things will happen more quickly.
Yeah, and last point, I think AI is going to be a big help in that, helping getting people educated and helping them find their own way and kind of break out of that trap. So now check this out. Can you guys see that? Hold on. Oh yeah. Yes, Joe. I came up with my own way to tackle. It's called the Brandon loves to hurt his head way to tackle. Lead with the helmet. Best way. No, it's not.
I
Don't do
thought
it.
it was the I run through you and I score a touchdown, haha, I win, you lose.
Well, that is the intention, but the mechanism can be a little tricky. Okay. Well, that was fun. Fun little detour into the inner workings of
Hey, where were we at with this vision challenge?
good question. I think we're on like week 7, week 7. So you got 3 more weeks.
I got 3 more weeks.
I mean, or you can just continue vision training for your entire life and always get better.
Definitely.
Yeah. You guys notice any changes? Monica, are you doing the vision challenge?
I'm doing it in bits and pieces.
Cool. Great.
There's my favorite so far is just the peripheral
Oh yeah.
walking. It like decreases my threat so much.
So
Yeah.
with your history of concussions, that would be one of my first go-tos.
Yeah, I'm really seeing
Peripheral
that.
vision. Yeah.
But it's been great because up until then I've been nervous to do any vision stuff. And when I have, I've just gotten flared very
Okay.
easily. So this feels great because it feels like, okay, I found an entry point and there's possibility.
Good. Are you doing any of the other vision drills with movement?
Sorry, you guys I think you're frozen right now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can. Yeah.
Okay. Are you doing any other vision drills with movement?
Yes, I have, or with like a static squat.
Cool. Perfect.
Yeah, and that does help.
Good.
I can still flare easily, but
Okay.
I can at least get like more than one rep in.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So you're definitely a bottom up kind of person. So anytime you can
For sure.
add more proprioceptive input to your
Yeah.
vision training, you're gonna extend your capacity a little bit.
Yeah, and I found like even just doing, yeah, whatever joint proprioceptive stuff, either right before or during. So like doesn't even need to be anything complicated, but yeah,
Yeah.
get the body moving.
Yep. Yep. Then the next thing I would attach to that or stack with it is some like cranial nerve activation.
Right.
Yeah, are you familiar with some of that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, okay, good. So, like tongue positions,
Yeah.
um, if you know what side you might have a
Yeah.
brainstem deficit, put your tongue on the other side, do some tongue circles, maybe a tongue stretch. Um, and then you can do smell, you can do
Yeah. I like the smell, just left-sided.
nice.
Yeah.
Humming and gargling. Humming's probably a little easier with vision drills, but also don't forget that you can change your head position with humming to activate more of one side than the other if there's a deficit. Even like cranial nerve 11, like your accessory nerve
Yeah.
tensioning or some SCM activation before you do vision drills. All really helpful. Cranial nerve drills can be so, so good for stacking with vision. Um, sometimes with vestibular, it can get a little tricky there, but definitely vision. I find that really helpful.
Okay. I'll play around with that more.
And then remember too, your vestibular system is so, so connected to your visual system that a lot of times if you're flaring or if you just want to help your visual system be more stable to build more capacity is just some little vestibular activation in sequence. So like maybe it's a quick little bouncing drill before you go into your smooth pursuits
Right.
for kids, or like a quick VOR right before you do smooth pursuits because that's a reflexive smooth pursuit. So it
Right.
activates the pathway reflexively, vestibular system, making the environment more stable. And then you go into your vision drill and it's like, oh, that's nice. That's easy. So those can be really helpful too.
I will play around.
Yeah, which by the way, like those are things you will never hear in a neurooptometry clinic. Activate your vestibular system before you do eye drills. Why? You dummy.
Yeah.
You obviously didn't go to the Carrick Institute of Functional Neurology, did you?
Oh.
Oh, sure didn't.
No.
Well,
Nope.
this is Karen. I have a question about
Hey,
how do you know if you're top, bottom,
top,
or what?
bottom, or up, down, or bottom, up, and around? Yeah, good question. So we use top down and bottom up to categorize the way that people's brains like to organize and integrate information. Okay, so a top-down person is someone that is usually pretty cerebral and they don't really like movement. Here's the question I always ask to get to the bottom of it. It's real easy. When you don't feel your best, do you like to get movement? Like, do you like to go for a walk or feel like you just need to move and then you feel better? Or when you go move, do you feel worse?
Hmm.
Usually that simple question will get you the answer that you want. If somebody
Hmm.
feels worse after they move, they're probably a top-down person, and so they'll respond better to going straight after vision drills or vestibular drills, higher order neurological input. A bottom-up person that feels really good after they move is going to feel better. They're not going to like if you go straight to vision or vestibular drills. And by the way, 99% of people that have had head injuries are going to automatically be bottom up. It's very rare that somebody with a TBI or concussion is going to be a top-down person. It's very rare. So, do you like movement? Do you not like movement? Okay. If they don't like movement and they're a bottom-up person, when they do these drills up here, adding some movement or some somatic feeling, some body sensation, some proprioception can be really helpful for their brain to integrate and be like, okay, I got some good information. Now I can do these things and feel better about it. Top-down person wouldn't need that. They can go right after those vision drills. Okay. Does that make sense, Karen? Yeah. Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome. You guys look great over there, by the way. Matching. Black on black today.
Easy on easy. Yeah.
Black shirts. Looking good.
Brandon, I have to share this with you. Yesterday, I met a lady with a baby. So you're going to get so much, and you're already, I'm sure. But the little baby was about maybe, looks to be about 6 or 7 months, and his name was Chucky. He was so cute. And so she says, I said, "Hi, Chucky, how are you?" And Chucky is just looking at me like deadpan, just looking at me. And she says, "Clap for her, clap for her." And so she takes his arm from around his neck, and she keeps telling him to clap. And Chucky looks like, I don't really want to do a trick right now. But then he goes on and he does it, and he is cute, and he gives a little smile at the end. But I'm just their personalities at that age. His personality was so interesting to me. So I can only imagine how amazing it is to see your children's personalities develop.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We could kind of tell little differences in their personalities from day one, little itty bitty, and now they're just kind of blossoming, and it is very, very fun to see. Cool to watch. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for sharing them with us.
You're welcome. Yeah, glad to. Glad to. Yeah, okay. What else, guys? We got a couple minutes left before I got to go teach some breathing drills. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, this might be a longer topic, but I noticed I could go out and it could be 100 degrees and I could walk 4 miles and I don't even perspire. Like not one, I told my husband, I'm like, feel my forehead. There's like not one drop. So I know there's something with the autonomic nervous system that's not working. So I don't know, this might be a longer conversation, but I was like, it's just wild to me.
Yeah. And that's not ideal, right?
No, for
You want-
sure.
Yeah. So your hypothalamus is the area of your brain that controls all that, specifically like temperature regulation and things like that. And it's an area you can actually train. But the short version is number one, making sure you're hydrated, right? Always got to say that. That's the foundation piece, right? Hydrated with good electrolytes, and then just like some easy brainstem, or what we might just call it nervous system regulation before you go for a walk can kind of kickstart that. So some simple examples are breathing, bag breathing, long exhale breathing, or air hunger, and the stuff we were talking about with Monica, biting, tongue position, humming, gargling for vagus nerve stuff, smelling, these type of things, just to get your brainstem like hopping and nice and balanced. Because it's so close also to your hypothalamus, and they're just like constantly talking. That's really, what I would start with, at least as far as like going out on a walk. And then, you may notice a more proper like sweat response. But real quick, are there, like, when you work out hard and stuff, do you sweat? Like, are you a normal sweater, or is this a common theme?
I think it's pretty common, but you know what? I never work out super hard, so I need to see if I need to try like maybe putting on a little jog or something or a little run around the. I'll report back to you by Thursday.
Yeah, and that's actually where I was going to go next is like sometimes I noticed this in myself too. You got to kickstart the process.
Okay.
Like get a quick jaunt in to get your temperature up and then let it recover back down as you relax. And that will kind of kickstart the process of sweating. And then throughout your walk, it'll be better. But then in your off time, doing temperature regulation stuff, like sauna and cold plunge, or just cold exposure, to help that system regulate. The problem that often happens is that we live in a climate controlled environment all the time. So our hypothalamus kind of, it's use it or lose it, right? So you don't really expose yourself to the elements, so it forgets how to be efficient in your temperature regulation. And so more exposure is the key there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good luck with it. Can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you.
I gotta run, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Great
Thank you, Hannah.
conversations as always. A little in the weeds
Detox
today.
exposure is pretty cool too.
What'd you say, Joe?
Intentional detox exposure is pretty cool too.
Oh, you'll have to tell me what that is.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it's like what he's talking about, but you're flexing your system intentionally, knowing what you're doing with your cells.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
you're welcome. See you guys soon. Always a pleasure. Until next time. Bye.